Deadpool and Wolverine trailer.
I mean, we knew it was coming.
We did. But do you remember how nervous I was about Deadpool? It hasn't quelled all of my nervousness.
Okay.
It has definitely eased it slightly.
Mm.
My one big takeaway.
Okay.
I made a point similar to this before. I think it was for Invincible. Yeah,
Right.
it must have been. Invincible Season 2 Part 1 trailer. I said, it feels like this trailer's just showing us, like, the first episode and making it seem like it's showing us more. I think this trailer has done the same thing. I don't think we've seen anything outside the first 30 minutes of this film.
I think there was clips from other moments, and there's a bit of a hint towards the general theme, but I don't think they've made it very obvious.
I think the majority of what we saw from that trailer is inside the first 30 minutes of the film.
I mean, it would make sense because Ryan Reynolds he's not going to want to do the usual thing that's happened a lot with Marvel trailers where they kind of just give it all away.
Yeah.
So we in the trailer.
Uh-huh.
There's one thing that I think I saw you tweeting about, and like people have seemingly forgotten.
Oh, people are dumb as fuck.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, how's Vanessa alive? Forgetting that at the end of Deadpool 2, he goes on a whole time traveling spree, and
do you know what I don't understand?
Fucks around with stuff.
For the last 15 years now, I've not been able to leave a cinema until all the credits are over in case there's a post-credit scene in whatever the fuck I'm watching.
Yep.
How have this many people not seen the Deadpool 2 post-credit scene?
Do you know what I think it is? Because, like, I'd remember him going back in time. I'd kind of forgot all the extra things he went and did. Because it's like, I remember him kind of undoing what happened. And then when I went back and watched it, just to refresh my mind, and I'm like, I think what's happened is because of how long ago it was, and it was like this whole, we didn't have Loki in the TVA and all this, like, it kind of was more so him memeing going back in time and doing like things you would expect someone with time travel to do. And because it was such a jokey way of them doing it, no one like took it serious enough to like remember it, if that makes sense.
I get that, but still, I like the amount of people who are genuinely gobsmacked.
Yeah, I don't.
They're like, oh, this must be a Deadpool from a different universe because Vanessa's alive. It's like,
you know, you're just forgetting the end of the film.
He went back and saved her, and then saved X-Force, and then shot the bad version of Deadpool from X-Men Origins.
And
Wolverine,
in that,
like,
if you remember, in that moment when he shoots him in X-Men Wolverines, he says, you're gonna come to the end of your story and everyone's gonna be really sad talking about Logan. And then he's like, but maybe, like, I hope you might get a call from another Deadpool to come back and please say yes. And this is before this is years ago, before like it was actually agreed that he was going to come back and do.
And like, you've got,
he set the stones early.
Yeah, and like him shooting Ryan Reynolds with the Green Lantern script.
Like, that's what I think. I think because it's like funny stuff like that, it's not stuck in people's minds as much, maybe.
You know, my big issue for a long time now has been like people's inability to actually remember what they've watched, and like the revisionist history we see all the time.
Yeah.
No wonder these people are changing history. They can't even remember what did happen. They probably don't even realize they're changing history.
Yeah, no, that's.
I couldn't believe it.
TVA. They look the same but slightly different.
I think it's just a style choice.
So, I think it's a style choice, but here's my question. Do you think it's pre-Loki or post-Loki?
I think it's post.
So do I. One reason being the fact that they knocked on his door. No, but I know that sounds funny, but like in the whole of Loki, if they turned up somewhere, they just turned up and pruned it. Like they didn't ask questions.
Yeah. Which... I don't know much about Mr. Paradox.
No, I don't.
other than apparently he's a Mobius variant.
Okay.
So we'll see what that's about.
Now,
Yeah, I'm nervous but excited.
so I have a theory, and I've seen like a couple of things of like maybe because obviously they show you TVA, you think he's getting punished for going back in time, and yeah. I actually think they're asking for his help because there's two reasons. Like in Loki, when the TVA arrested Loki and Sylvie, they go through a process. They're put into prison overalls. Anyone that's like processed that way is a prisoner for doing something wrong. He's not. He's just there in his clothes. Also, they like show him round the TVA, and then the thing of him saying, "I'm Marvel Jesus," makes me feel like they've asked him to do something. Then he's like, "Oh, you're giving me this power."
So I think broad strokes, my guess would be the Fox timeline was a fucking mess.
Yes.
We all know that.
Yes.
I think they are going to go, right, we've got Deadpool 3. That doesn't need to be tidy. So we will make that. Wade goes and tidies up that timeline. And he will so happen to tidy up that timeline in a way we can work with. It gets rid of a lot of the clunkiness of confusion. It still makes all of the old Fox films watchable.
Yep.
And then you just tidy it all up, and then you can either slot it in or whatever.
Yeah, I think
there's also, because we know from Multiverse of Madness that there is a fear of incursions coming. This might be our first level of incursion.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like you say, the Fox's X-Men was messy. What if like they play it off as like the things they went back and changed and brought people the way that Fox handled the X-Men universe? What if what they're like Marvel's playing it off as like an incursion's happened, and Deadpool goes in and has to clean it up?
Yeah, I think it's very possible you get stuff like that.
But I think it wouldn't surprise. Also, like something I'm thinking of now, because obviously the whole thing people fixate on is there's that desert thing, the Fox logo's in the background.
Yeah.
The other time we've seen like big structures kind of embedded in the ground in places like in a weird place they shouldn't be was in Loki when he went to the Void place. What if it's something similar?
I think the Void is going to end up being Battle World.
Okay.
Which is where Secret Wars will take place.
Right.
So if someone gets pruned and sent to there, expect to see them again in Secret Wars.
Okay, that would make sense.
That is, I'm not saying I've come up that off my own back. That is a prevailing theory at the minute.
That could make sense though if it is like the Void. And what if that's how this Wolverine, he's fighting him there because he's pruned him so that we can still keep the Logan timeline.
Exactly.
Interesting.
There was also a we saw the back of Wolverine in a white suit.
Yes.
So that's the character that I don't know too much about. He's called Patch. It is Wolverine, but they're called Patch. Oh. And I think that's more to do with the Krakoan era of the X-Men, which is when the X-Men all go and live in their own nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's quite confusing. It's quite recent. I'm not as up to date on that stuff.
Right.
But basically, after a certain point, all mutants basically lived on a country together.
Okay.
And that was Krakoa.
Gotcha.
So if you were a mutant, you just had citizenship. You were a Krakoan citizen.
Got you.
And I believe the capital city of Krakoa is Madripoor.
Okay.
Now that name might be familiar to people because that was the city we went to in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh. Where we met Sharon and found out she's the power broker.
Oh.
So there is, and I might have butchered that. I might be completely wrong and I might be confusing myself. Do not take that as gospel.
That's true, though.
But so some people think that X-Men, that Wolverine variant that we saw in the white coat might not be Hugh Jackman. That might be the MCU's Logan.
Who could be a new cast that we've talked about
Exactly.
a few times.
But it could also just be a cameo from someone like a Daniel Radcliffe who's
Yeah.
been fan cast forever, because we know Marvel, as we've seen with
John
Krasinski, aren't against casting someone who's been fan cast forever to do a cameo.
Yeah, for like a one-off situation of them doing like a variant. Yeah, that's true.
Let me just Google Madripoor quickly.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be some. There's gonna be some variant situation.
Is associated with the X-Men. I haven't made that up.
Okay.
It might not be Krakoan, but it is associated with the X-Men. So that is worth noting.
Okay. Yeah,
and also
I'm very excited.
in She-Hulk, there was that news article talking about Man with Metal Claws in bar fight.
Yes,
so
there was.
There has been teases potentially for a little while that Wolverine's cutting about. So that it'll be interesting to see what comes of that little.
Yeah. Okay.
Bit
potentially.
I think we're gonna get a lot of cameos. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get a lot of like variant cameos. So they're gonna have some like fun things that like they can use this person as the character, and then it's only a one-off, and we don't have to worry about them actually being the new character.
At the end of the day, I won't be surprised if this film ends up being a little bit like No Way Home. In the sense of sometimes there's no talking because they're literally waiting for the audience to stop clapping.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've gone back and watched it, but if you go and watch No Way Home now, when Toby and Andrew walk in,
there's pause.
No talking for like 3 seconds because they knew the crowd was going to lose their fucking mind. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Put it this way, this film isn't going to be the film that lets us defeat the keys jingling allegations. But a bit of fan service never hurt anyone.
I think there's going to be some fan service, and I wouldn't be surprised if, because of who Deadpool is and his whole fourth wall breaking, like it wouldn't surprise me if they're going to use this to essentially clean up all past Marvel stuff, so that they can use new stuff going, like some of that old stuff, to go forward, and they'll be like, look, it all makes sense now. This is what is. All that's gone, and now we're here.
It could also get slightly inspired by Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, which was a mixed review comic where he goes around and kills loads of superheroes in very inventive ways.
Okay.
Such as using pin particles to shrink down bombs and put them in Luke Cage's coffee. Because you can't just stab Luke Cage.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool.
I think it would be okay for a 5-minute montage.
Yeah, just like him going to a few of these places and doing stuff like that.
Give him the role of tidying up a messy bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Give us a 5-minute montage of that, then have it get into the actual meat and bones, which is Wolverine doesn't want to die, or oh wait, there's a bigger problem here, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's got potential.